Okay, thank you. I'm thanking you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the third roundtable. Let me introduce myself. I am Ugo Rossi, who together with Assistant Professor Fahmida Nursat and Associate Professor Arkana Bagel will chair this session. I would like to thank all the participants and the organization committee of this important Congress, which allow us to propose and discuss studies and research to improve a better life on this planet. This session on architecture and technology will focus on phenomenological studies. Are you listening?
We are with you.
Are you?
Yeah, we can hear you properly.
Okay.
We are with you.
Okay. This session on architecture and technologies will focus on phenomenological studies. Phenomenology is a form of quantitative research. Right? So phenomenological research is a qualitative approach that seeks to understand and describe the universal essence of phenomenon. It investigates human beings' everyday experience, while suspending the researcher's preconceived assumption about the phenomenon. Based on phenomenological studies, well-being and happy life on Earth could be the keyword of this session. Please allow me to dedicate 10 symbolic seconds of silence to remember all those who suffer from war, hunger, thirst, heat, and cold, and then for the entire planet which suffers from humanity's activity, for consumption of resources and pollution that leads to climate transformation and causes disaster. Okay, could we start? This now let me to show you my presentation.
We need to unmute.
We can't, okay?
What?
No audio.
Audio, we need the audio.
Okay, you need the audio.
Yeah.
Dr. Rossi, could you, when you share the screen, there is one checkpoint. You need to share the sound.
Please. Let me. Hello.
Yeah. When you share your screen, just have a look to the side of your screen. There's one tick. Checkpoint, just share the sound.
Contiviti.
You found it?
I can't find because
No, from YouTube. After from Zoom.
Are you looking?
Okay, let me show it to you. I will reclaim the host. I will make you host again. Could you give me 1 minute?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, of course.
yeah. Okay. So you have to share your screen here.
Yes, I am doing.
Just before sharing, I need to open one YouTube.
I've did. The organizer has habilitated the condivision.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Wait,
I done.
see. Okay. When you share the screen, here, you can see my screen?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I'm
Okay, wait.
I'm going to try. Something went wrong.
Then. Uh,
The organizer has disabilitated the sharing of my.
yeah. I'm just gonna to
Disabilitate.
yeah, okay. Doctor,
Yeah, I'm ready.
yeah,
No,
where is that one? Okay, you can see my screen right now, right?
yes, I can.
Could you see this one, that this small tick, share sound?
What I have to do, because I
When you
haven't
when
disabled anything.
when you press share
Yeah,
from Zoom, you
yes,
have to
but
press this one, share sound.
yeah,
That's
but
it.
the organizer has
Yeah,
disabilitated my
I will make you
condivision.
host again. Yes, you are host, doctor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm ready. What I so are you saying?
Yeah.
Are you? Thank you very much.
Yeah, you are the host, doctor. Yeah. Just click on the presentation.
I've done.
Share your screen. Share your screen. Could you increase the sound? Raise the sound? Yeah, more.
Thanks. My God.
Just raise the sound. We can hear it, doctor, from your laptop. There's a sound. Just raise the sound.
Is it possible to proceed? Is everything is right, or I have to restart?
No, the sound is too low.
Ah, too low.
Yeah. Just
I,
yeah. Just make it maximum. Yeah, maximum. Go to the maximum. Yeah.
vision and project for the city testified as prophetic searchers for a happy life on earth. In fact, utopia is the unspeakable secret of all architecture, even the most degraded. In the depth of every architecture, there is a claim to improve the world. However, every intention to create a utopia based on coercive assumption of society transformation has failed. These communities and proposals should not be considered as a model. On the contrary, proposals such as Garden City, the Art and the Existence Minimum constitute the key of planning and the ideal solution for the home of the modern man and woman. In Athens' chart proposal, the International Congress of Modern Architecture member sought generic project for the functional city. Regarding living, they tried to follow Le Corbusier's plan was a model, designing residential complexes of multi-story building in a majestic isolation. The plan was and Athens' chart advocate the annulment of the chaotic life of the street. The people's place had to be raised above the ground floor, which on the contrary would have been dedicated to fast traffic and trams. With this indication, many housing complexes were conceived, such as Put I Go in Pittsburgh, the Statue Garden, the Robert Taylor Homes in Chicago, the Stuyvesant Town in New York, or the Forest of the Scraper in Shanghai, Chongqing, or New Quilamba today. Richard Sennett states that the Athens chart proved prophetic. In the future, Paris, Istanbul, and Beijing would have been increasingly similar. With the tendency to converge into the single form today, these cities are truly approved. In the era of modernization, thanks to industrialization, which is a new dispenser of consumer goods and widespread well-being, we are faced with complete trust in means of attaining cities, architecture, and universal society. In the early 50s, some proposals emerged from Italy achieved situation, the utopia of a culturally, economically, and politically universal world. On the one hand, Erwin Anton Gutkin hopes for the end of the city. On the other, Konstantinos Toksidis proposed the world city. Both hypotheses lack ideologies and utopias, but in opposite ways develop an inevitable condition. Gutkin thought that the modern city was a place of chaos and inefficiency, uncivilized and unhealthy, and the best way to solve the problem of metropolis could only be to escape from it. Such a revolution was not only desirable or necessary, but for him it was inevitable. In opposition to Gutkin, Konstantinos Toksidis conceived Ecumenopolis, the inevitable future global city, as a single planetary city in which the world population was connected and integrated into an urban system, a giant network of urban corridors containing vacant, lost and fragmented parts of wilderness, all served by ultra-fast transportation and communications devices.
The role of smart environment initiative and environmental
confident in the inevitable rebirth, economic development, which thanks to the innovation of USA, would describe the planet. He believed every ideological and social cultural barriers would progressively disappear, giving way to a globalized society where widespread well-being would avoid conflict and inequities worldwide. So, the following generation attempt to conceive the city to come in radical terms, above all concerning new information technologies whose effect on everyone's life will soon become evident. The awareness that the new city originating from universal technology will be equally sustainable, equally suitable for all the population of the world, and will allow working and living conditions at any latitude, regardless of the natural climatic condition, will be fundamental and fatal for Utopia. The project for the city by Yannis Xenakis and Takis Denetos represent technological utopia as a planetary utopian solution and constitute the premise of the planetary technological utopia of the smart city. Xenakis project for a cosmic city for 5 million inhabitants envisage a settlement of 5 million people in hyperbolic shell, more than 5,000 meter height and 50 meters wide. Pressurization and air conditioning system will make life in this building possible. Technology will free the city and architecture from climatic contingencies and free the soil. Above all, extension will be reduced. The territorial planning and development proposal, Electronic Urbanism by Takis Denetos, focuses on the architect's role in the information technology society. Denetos was convinced that thanks to information technology, man will be able to work from home, and automation, process, and the use of remote management and teleoperation would allow relocation to otherwise unusable areas. For Denetos, these measures would have eliminated the causes of all the fundamental traffic problems and the metropolis expansion. Teleworking would have ended the abandonment of smaller urban centers, which would have offered the same opportunities as large cities. In the era of solitude of the global citizen, of the cultural logic of late capitalism, little space is available for utopia and e-utopia. They are replaced and imposed by the excessive power of the yen, euro, dollar, the yes. In fact, if science had contributed to conceiving a standardized world at the time of the first machine age, the current fluid and global economy neutralized specific cultural belonging, imposing anonymity. Rem Koolhaas identifies in a project that began at the end of the 70s the absence of cultural references in development and architecture of the city. The new metropolis and architecture thus grow. Koolhaas recognized the absence of plan and development in the generic city of our time. All the functions of the city are contained in the big building. The big building is the city. In Atlanta and Singapore, Koolhaas identifies the prototype of the new no longer city, a city generated by the process of parthenogenesis from cloned cities and no longer architecture, in which the periphery and the center are indistinguishable because each building is a center, losing the perception of the city's very existence. The cities and the counterpart architecture of utopia are nowhere and do not belong anywhere. However, the search of discovery of utopia is the architect's purpose and challenge. Utopia will certainly not be available everywhere, or, if you prefer, it will be everywhere except in homologous standard no places, an artificial paradise of the techno-utopia of a smart city. Utopia will most likely be where we can recognize the value of a unique, non-repeatable, and particular place, where we can recognize our personal good places differently from each other. How do small communities choose the place of utopia in a career, in the phalanstery, in the unité d'habitation? We must identify our own personal utopia. Unless, in the meantime, the relentless homologation process will be completed before this process erases every trace of it. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much. Now I would like to proceed with the next presentation by Abiet Pal and Ahmar Ulkai. This is about impact of architectural forms on human perception, neurocognitive experimentation.
Università tradizionale oppure online? Perché scegliere? E Campus unisce il meglio di entrambe. L'unica con un tutor in presenza nella tua città. L'università e campus ha a cuore la tua preparazione e semplifica la tua vita da studente, perché campus è unica, come te. Scoprila su unicampus.it.
I'm sorry, but what I have to do now?
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, and distinguished guests, it's an honor to be a part of such a diverse and distinguished group of professionals, academics, and thought leaders from around the globe. Myself, Abhijit Pal.
And I am Syed Ammar Ullah. We are currently pursuing our bachelor's degree in architecture from MBA School of Planning in New Delhi, India. The topic of our research that we are presenting today is impact of architectural forms on human perception.
In this research, we are assessing the cognitive effects of architectural forms on human perception. This brings us to the concept of neuroarchitecture. What is neuroarchitecture? It is an amalgamation of neuroscience and architecture. It is an interdisciplinary research field that integrates neuroscience and architecture and focuses on how individuals interact with the built environment. It comprises of four main interrelated pillars, which are neuroscience, architecture, physiology, and psychology. The concept of biogeometry. As we all know, geometry is fundamental to architecture. Biogeometry is the science that studies the effect of geometric shapes and forms on human bioenergy. It is possible to mitigate and negative energies and enhance their positive qualities. There are many levels of energy involved in a living energy system. For example, physical matter, vitality, emotional, mental, and other more subtle levels. They are just different frequency ranges, and in this respect are also governed by laws of harmonics, such as resonance, which produces information exchange. Now, when we talk about energy or information exchange in the context of neuroarchitecture, we are referring to brain waves. So, what are brain waves? Brain waves are very accurate electrical signals reflecting the changes which occur in the frequency of brain waves during different mental statuses. As you can see on the table in the left, there are 5 types of brain waves. Delta waves ranging from 0 to 4 Hz, theta waves ranging from 4 to 8 Hz, alpha waves 8 to 12 Hz, beta waves ranging from 12 to 40 Hz, and gamma waves ranging from 40 to 100 Hz. Depending on the frequency ranges, each type of brain waves corresponds to various consciousness statuses. For example, theta brain wave of 6.5 Hz activates creativity. Now, when we talk about architecture and spatial planning, there are two major role players, architect and user. The architect's main goal is to achieve harmony between all the components that make up the quality of space. And how well does a user respond to a space depends on his or her perception of the space. Now, perception is a very complex cognitive process. The method to assess this complex task is later explained. The cohesive understanding of these two role players result in an effective quality built environment. So to summarize the whole literature review, with the help of following flowchart, we can clearly understand that there is a clear interrelation between architecture, neuroscience, and biogeometry. These interrelations, along with the primary disciplines, directly affect the quality of built environment.
After discussing the interrelation, we hypothesize that there exists a measurable and predictable relationship between specific geometric forms and the frequencies of resonance in individual brain waves, which impact their mental states and consciousness. We designed an experiment to quantify neurophysiological correlates of form with human perception through the use of visual environment means and electroencephalography. This study anticipates that the identification of such patterns will lead to the development of a scientific measuring tool, aiding architects and designers in creating space tailored to desired consciousness, state for optimal user experience, and well-being. The participants were asked to roam around architectural forms through virtual reality means. The experiment employed 6 basic types of forms in order to perform an optimal comparison of impact of architectural form over the user. All designs had to maintain comfortable proportions and a sense of human space. Volumes were designed to be colorless, soundless, with no optics. The lighting was non-directional and created equal illumination in all parts of the space. The environment began with the participant entering the space by walking through the standard corridors. This stage is important as researchers found that entering a room or walking through the doorway can facilitate forgetting or evoking one's memory. Now, what is electroencephalography? EEG is employed to collect qualitative data on brainwave patterns. It is a test which is used to evaluate the electrical activity of your brain. These are the descriptive videos of the setup we have used. Participants wear these EEG headsets while navigating various architecturally designed spaces, capturing real-time data before, during, and after execution. The data is taken from visual cortex according to the International 1020 system. This video shows as one of the participants goes through a cuboidal form. We record the corresponding brainwave with the help of EEG and Arduino Uno software. The FFT graph shows the most common frequency range, which is in the range of 9 Hz. This is when she goes through a wall. The corresponding brainwave frequency was measured, which came out to be 4 to 8 Hz. After recording the frequency from all 6 forms, we concluded that
Each geometric form causes a change in the human brainwave pattern, which guides his consciousness to a particular status. Now, this measurable and predictable relationship can be used in identifying appropriate geometric forms that are most suitable for required uses and functions. For example, when designing a classroom or a lecture hall, the objective is to create an environment that fosters attention and conscious thinking, ensuring optimal functionality. The same can be effectively realized through the use of a conical form. Our research proves that conical forms possess ability to focus energy and attention, creating a space that naturally guides users' cognitive states towards heightened awareness and concentration. The concept of form follows function is vividly illustrated in this approach, but in a neurological sense. The design choice is not arbitrary, it is based on the understanding that specific geometric shapes can influence human perception and brainwave activity. By aligning architectural design with neurophysiological principles, we can create spaces that are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also scientifically optimized for their intended use. Thus, this research establishes the layout for a design tool which in future will assist architects and designers.
thank you for your attention. We hope our research contributes valuable insight to the field of architecture and urban planning.
Let's continue to explore how we can design spaces that will positively impact human perception and well-being.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we can proceed with the next intervention. This research explores the impact of light phenomenology on user experience. The case study involves a phenomenological analysis of 3 contemporary mosques. It is by Manar Bouhouazine and Nahila Alani.
This research investigates the influence of light phenomenology on the user experience in modern mosques and Bahrain. The study explores the role of architecture shaping space and focuses on the detailed examination of light phenomenology. By analyzing 3 contemporary mosques in Bahrain and space studies through phenomenological lens. The findings reveal that these modern mosques successfully evoke spiritual atmosphere by integrating natural light. The research contributes to the understanding of architectural phenomenology, especially in contemporary mosques, and its effects on user experience.
What's happening?
According to Sirajuddin, in all Muslim societies, the mosque is the most important building in the community and arguably in the landscape, providing a sense, identity, and place. However, with contemporary-oriented architecture, designers and stakeholders are considering modifying the traditional mosque design to be much simpler. The phenomenology of light is one of the important aspects in shaping contemplating spaces, and it provides a sense of place not only in mosques, but also in churches, temples, and other religious buildings. The research question is how light impacts contemporary mosques and shapes the experience of praying with humanity. The research will focus on phenomenology of light in shaping the user experience inside the mosque despite the visual appearance and design elements. It also aims to evaluate the contemporary mosques in Bahrain through the light phenomenology. The study will be divided into two main parts: a theoretical study, which will explore in depth the role of light as a phenomenon in mosque through work of literature and library research. Second, the analytical study will focus on observing several contemporary mosques in Bahrain to evaluate them through the lens of phenomenology. Literature review, case studies, library study, and also survey are the methods to be used to complete this research. The analysis of the data will be done descriptively using images and graphs. However, in terms of limitation, the study requires access to mosques where a high gender segregation might lead to constraints during the analysis. The development of mosque architecture happened during different periods of time. The first mosque was Prophet Muhammad Mosque, which was very simple. It has a flat roof and very functional. During the Umayyad period, the mosque started to become bigger with rawats, central domes, and minarets. However, in the Abbasis period, there are no differences in the mosque architecture except for the spiral minarets. In the Ottoman period, there are an evolution for dome, vaults, pencil point minarets. Scholars agree that the role of the mosques in the Muslim community was not only spiritual and secular space. They were saying that these mosques were communal gathering spaces for addressing and resolving important communal matters. In sacred spaces, light was not only used for illumination, but it was also used to imbue spaces with metaphysical essence to evoke a sense of divinity and spirituality. Also, light is a symbol of illumination, wisdom, godness, and purity. Light in sacred spaces was usually brought from the above area of the building, like the roofs, domes, and upper areas of the walls, symbolizing the divine presence above. Scholars are suggesting that in sacred spaces, light should be used in high contrast to throw behind attachment to the materialistic world and evoke spirituality. Through light, the spirit of space can be shaped. In addition, daylight could be integrated in sacred spaces through windows that has colored glasses. The analytical study was done to evaluate 3 different mosques in Bahrain, selected based on the size, light integration, architectural style, and location. The aim was to study these criteria and how they are affecting the spirituality of the mosque. Starting with the analysis of some path and building orientation, it can be seen in Duras al-Bahrain, our capital, where the mosques were both facing south, providing maximum illumination in the interior of the mosques. And the Sheikh Ahmed Mosque, however, was facing east. The red arrows are showing the fenestration in the building. In terms of natural light fenestration, the 3 mosques use different types of openings in the building to allowed light penetration in different ways in the prior halls. It came as a form of clear-story windows, wall cuts, and also skylights. During the analysis, it was noticed that users prefer to pray near a light beam source. They claim that in certain moments, light takes them beyond the physical space and they feel like they are connected to the God and that they are praying with humans. Also, free buildings use material qualities that allowed light penetration, reflection, and diffusion. For example, the clear glass facades and fenestrations provided also light beams that created a sense of purity and also connected user with the surrounding environment. The smooth walls allowed light reflection, while the rugs diffused the light and also brought warmth to the space. During the night, all three mosques has used a very calm and also peaceful atmosphere at night by using a diffused warm lighting in all three mosques. Thus, the quality of
Dr. Rossi, there's no sound.
light penetration and light beams in the prayer. The result shows that light has a power to enhance interior spaces and provide users with the required sense of place. The analytical study provides insights that align with the theoretical study. Although the mosques were small and has no symbolic representation of traditional Islamic architecture, their design has proven the role of architecture phenomena. Also, the analysis shows how light attracts the eyes and feelings of worshippers when they are in the space. Also, it ensures that users prefer praying in mosques that provide them with the needed atmosphere and the sense of serenity. To conclude, this research examines the significant role of light phenomenology shaping user experience in contemporary mosques. Also, the research emphasizes the multifaceted nature of architecture, considering
Laura, you
What's happened? My God. What's
Doctor, just
the
just start it again. Maybe there's a problem.
yeah.
and light beams in the prayer.
Niente. There is a problem with I don't know why.
Just click on the link once again and share it once again.
Unveiling spiritual.
Emphasizes the multifaceted nature of architecture, considering atmosphere, emotions, and experiences.
Doctor, the screen is not shared. You are sharing your desktop.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I've done. Whew. There is a little problem.
Despite the absence of traditional elements, the studied mosques effectively create the spiritual.
Are you looking? Are you saying?
Doctor, the same, this desktop. Yeah, it is just one open folders from your computer.
So I'm going to share.
Share again, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We are unveiling absence.
Yes.
And we was
This research examines the significant role of light phenomenology shaping user experience in contemporary mosques. Also, the research emphasizes the multiple.
Doctor, have you shared it?
I don't know what was happened.
I think you are sharing, you have to share the video. Right now, as I see, you are sharing one other screen. The screen is different. Yes, yes, it is this one.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it is this one. Thank you. I'm thanking you.
Emotions and experiences alongside with the form and function. Despite the absence of traditional elements, the studied mosques effectively create a spiritual atmosphere through a thoughtful light interaction, supported by worshipper frequencies.
I'm very sorry for the inconvenience. In any case, I'll go in to share the next one. The next one is overlooking the visibility of mosques from a normal to a harm on developed urbanism in Nablus city by architect Diana Enab.
Hi, greetings everyone. This is Diana Anab, a research and teaching assistant and master's student at Alanya National University, Department of Architecture and Engineering. And it's a pleasure to be presenting in today's conference and joining the platform of architecture and technology. And today I'll be sharing one of my recent research entitled as Overlooking the Visibility of Mosques from a Norm to a Harm on Developed Urbanism in Nablus City. So literature shared about the relation of Islam to architecture or architecture to Islam has been controversial. However, what is agreed on is that certainly there's a dilemma of identification of Islamic architecture. Several terminologies were raised in this regard. For instance, we've got the terminology of Islamic architecture that is usually used in different contexts than architecture of Muslims or theory of Islamic architecture or even Islamic theory of architecture. So since we've got a dilemma of identification of Islamic architecture, this would assure having a negligence on the concept leading to the authentic production of Islamic architecture. And an example of these neglected concepts would be undermining the value of historic Islamic architecture in contemporary times, which in other terms can be referred to as ruining the urban fabric of historic Islamic architecture. And among the urban measures, visibility comes to be substantial in defining architectural landmarks, especially to users and viewers of the space. And when we speak about visibility of mosques, it is inevitable not to mention the critical writings of Dr. Ali Abdel Raouf in his book From Mecca to Las Vegas, when he spoke about the transition of Muslims' priority from perceiving and getting closer to the Kaaba from the ground to overviewing the Kaaba from the top while accessing one of the highest towers located in its contemporary surrounding context. Similarly, the Galata Port Waterfront Development Project located in Istanbul is creating a visual barrier and preventing Al Nasratiyya Mosque from its right to be visible from the coast. So all of that comes to be wrapped up in a single question, which is how the norm of historic mosque visibility became harmed within the developed urbanism of Islamic cities. And in order to have an answer for this question, this study develops a comparative methodology of comparing the norm of historic mosques versus the harm of developed urbanism to both historic and contemporary mosques. And the case chosen for conducting the study is Nablus city, located in the West Bank. And the reason for choosing Nablus is because of its topographic nature that would alter the visibility of mosques in a radical way. So in this study, Al-Nasr Mosque is used as a historic mosque, and it will be compared with the contemporary mosque of Kautar. So to start with, Al-Nasr Mosque is located in the center of the old city, particularly in Al-Qaryon quarter. Initially, the mosque was a Byzantine church, and then it was converted to a mosque. It became into its latest form in 1954. And the content of Al-Nasr Mosque is not restricted to the mosque itself as a building, but it includes Al-Nasr Plaza or Al-Manara Square in front of it, and it is surrounded by linear active streets. And the urban value of the plaza becomes diverse in terms that it includes commercial, social, recreational, and spiritual value. So sometimes we see the square operating as an open air prayer plaza, or a public gathering place, or place for school activities, or commercial vending, etc. So the activity of the plaza and the activity of streets around the mosque, of course, would increase the number of viewers and create diversity in terms of views. However, of course, due to the intactness and compactness of the urban fabric of the old city, the visibility or the mosque visibility becomes restricted to the old city itself, and the visibility to the expansive fabric of the city becomes very shallow. In terms of urban level, the mosque gains horizontal views from the accessible rooftops of surrounding buildings, and those buildings are all of average height, so none of them would exceed the height of the dome. However, what caused the harm to historic mosques is the urban violations in the contemporary timing. So we've got the vertical expansions and the accessibility of some rooftops of buildings opposite and close to Al-Nasr Mosque, and that would alter the visibility of the mosque. And in order to compare the results obtained from the observations and the fieldwork and the semi-structured interviews, they were compared with the use of or the measure of visibility using some computational tools run by plugins and the software of Rhinoceros, and specifically the use of Grasshopper. So in this computational tool, four locations were pinned around the mosque, depicting, of course, its four sides or its four facades. And the results show that the intactness of urban fabric makes the buildings are either of most visibility or least visibility. And it also proved the observation of or the notion that views are restricted to the old city itself. Another computational tool showed that the highest visibility of Al-Nasr Mosque is at its roof, of course, thanks to the expansive contemporary urban fabric, and that the facade facing the plaza would be the next of most visible facade in Al-Nasr Mosque. And now moving to the second case of Kautar Badran Mosque, where it is located in a Blabus Al-Awsat neighborhood and where the context is purely residential. And the results obtained about the visibility of street level of the mosque was not really distinguished from the visibility of other contemporary mosques. And what I mean by that is that usually contemporary mosques are usually designed in two street levels as a response to the topography, where only one side of them gets to be accessible. And also the idea that there's a lack of open spaces or plazas in front of the mosque would lower the visibility of passers. In terms of urban level, surrounding buildings are high and they would overlook the mosque. And there was also something interesting to tackle on, which is the dual and contrasting visual characteristic of the mosque. Sometimes it would dominate the buildings on the street below, and sometimes it would do the opposite to the buildings on the same street level. So there's a contrasting dominance, I would say. Results of the computational tool show that there is a closeness of buildings raises the visibility, and that the facade of direct view to the pinpoint is of the highest value. Less and higher angles would alter the result, and open urban spaces increase the number of visible buildings. And this is a close-up on how the computational tool shows the result of visibility. That it does not only evaluate the visibility of surrounding buildings to specific points in terms of graphical or visual way, but it would also evaluate the facades of those buildings numerically. And results also show that the sides facing the open spaces and towards buildings at lower height would have maximum visibility, while on the other hand, the sides facing buildings, especially in these two images, close to the mosque and at lower height, would have minimum visibility. And lastly, this is to show that the comparison of contemporary and old or historic mosques drove on a couple of points, which were the height of surrounding buildings, ratio of height of surrounding buildings to the height of the mosque, direction, exposure, and quality of visibility, and enhancement of context to the mosque itself. And the results of the study showed that the visibility of Al-Nasr Mosque gained or were higher than was higher than Al-Kawthar Mosque due to the intactness and the closeness of its urban fabric, and also because of its equality, of course. That we can say that in both mosques the exposure of visibility was high. However, the quality, of course, of the visibility was distinguished. The role of majestic and grand mosques disappear in both mosques. The restrictions of height surrounding Nasr Mosque is an application to protect the general urban fabric of the old city, but not a direct application for the urban visibility conservation to historic mosques, and that was a gap. And that we can say that the only visual attribute of contemporary mosques in general is their either green symbolic light at night or their minarets in the daytime. Unfortunately, other than that, they just would appear as regular buildings if we just remove the green light or even the minaret. So that would get us to the conclusion that at the current time, most connections to contemporary mosques are being auditory rather than visuals, and this is to rethink that the relation of Muslims to mosques, that it's not only that it shouldn't be only heard, but it should be seen. And this is to wrap up with some general recommendations on the contribution to practice of a humane and Islamic architecture. To start with, Islamic values should be integrated and interpreted to better and more adequate physical measures. The sense of enclosures should be enhanced in contemporary mosques, and urban measures of mosques such as building to street height ratio and building closeness, accessibility should be rethought and restudied. And this gets us to the end of my session. Thank you very much for having me, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We could go to the next by Assistant Professor Fahmida Nursat Farmazamir and Associate Professor Ukrakish Hakmatnia. It was Can School Become Third Place for Children? An empirical study of a contemporary urban school in Dhaka.
Hello everyone, welcome you all to the presentation titled Can Schools Become Third Place for Children? An empirical study of a contemporary urban school in Dhaka. I am architect Fahmida, and on behalf of the author panel, will be presenting today. So the research objective was to explore whether schools can contain the attributes of a third place for its users, which is mostly the children. It is a case study-based research set in the context of urban Dhaka. Now coming to the basics of third place theory, from Ray Odenberg's book, The Great Good Places, the concept of third place emerged as a place in between first place, which is usually terms, and second place, that is work similar. And examples of such places are mentioned as coffee shops, bars, barber shops, beauty salons,
recreational public places, etc. However, third places in recent days have been investigated in many more contexts. In understanding the characteristics of third place, from Oldenburg's criteria, many scholars identify various sensorial qualities of such places. Few are mentioned here in colored circles. Taking the perception of these attributes as a general understanding of the third place, we opted to investigate schools of Dhaka. This megalopolis of global south is an example of contested and complex urban life where it is hardly taking care of the well-being of school users. That is, by failing to provide necessary land for functioning such buildings properly. The Dhaka district as a whole has an earthly ratio of schools in terms of user density. The number is inadequate and land is scarce. Hence, most of the school buildings are going up. Contemporary architects are trying their best to ensure proper special character of schools within the limitations. Now, here is the case study of ours, Nalanda High School, located at the outskirts of the city. It is designed by one of the renowned architects of the country. For data collection, we did an in-depth observation-based survey for 1 month, which was followed by the semi-structured interview with the architect and teachers of the school. Various archival photos were collected to understand the space use diversity of the premise over the period. The ground level and first level are most happening places. Visual connections with multiple spaces from these two levels make the small campus wide open. With outdoor, semi-outdoors, and green playfields were the main focus of the study, as formal classrooms are considered as second place for the children, where home is their first place. While conducting interview with the architect of the project, a few insights were revealed. An idea of unsupervised yet safe places were at the core of the design to allow students to be themselves in between classes. Later on, various pictorial evidences resonated with this thought. The teachers gave a prime perspective regarding the school's pedagogy and curriculum that center on utilizing outdoor and semi-outdoor spaces as much as possible, along with various formal and informal activities. In these two levels, we observed students' interactions, sensorial gestures in various ways, be with their peers or mentors. The blue-colored zones were specially identified as small groups favorite, where large groups gathered for various activities in the other color-coded areas. Certainly, multiple attributes of third place were showcased through those activities. So finally, we can tell that multiple spatial interventions of school premise can promote students' interactions in a relaxed and informal way when necessary. This mood of the spatial environment can be enhanced if school curriculum and pedagogy are well designed, aiming to explore various spaces apart from classrooms. Therefore, in this single case, it is observed that aspects or characteristics of third place in general can be interpreted in schools. Just a thorough understanding of the socio-cultural context of the school setting and users are needed to be analyzed beforehand. Thank you all. I personally thank our international co-author, Dr. Mia, for his intellectual input. Your presence was felt wholeheartedly. Thank you all again.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hamid and Arhat. We could just, with the last one, and then we can, after these presentations, we could, if you have any question, we could talk about.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be presenting our paper in this short video for the 7th International Conference on Contemporary Architecture and Urbanism in Alanya, Turkey. First of all, I would like to start by introducing the authors of this paper. I am Lina Dawood, a PhD candidate from Yıldız Technical University, and the Associate Professor, Dr. Selin Yıldız, also from Yıldız Technical University. The title of our paper is Automatic Design Line Detection in Urban Building Images through DCT Filtering. The flow of this presentation will be as follows. First, I would like to show a brief introduction for our topic. Then I will be showing some previous studies which are related to our topic. After this, I would like to show the aim for which this study was conducted. And also I will explain the methodology which we have implemented in this study. And finally, I will show the obtained results and the conclusion. As we have been seeing recently, technology and automation have been invading our world very fast in different fields. Architecture is among these fields where we can see that technology is being utilized in both research field and also in the design process. In these fields or tasks, let's say, the identification of design lines and building edges from urban architectural images is considered as a prerequisite for further analysis and processes on these images. In computer operations, this field of science is called computer vision. It is a branch of image-based computer science which employs pixel values to deduce image content and develops mathematical techniques to retrieve 3D shapes from pictures. There are numerous studies which are interested in design lines and building edges of urban architectural images. These studies have different purposes. In this section, I would like to review some of these studies. There is a study which have detected the design lines for purpose of rectifying the building images, for example. And another study have employed the detected edges from for buildings and augmented reality applications. Another study also have which have been conducted recently. This study have used the identified building edges to detect changes in buildings for disaster assessment, such as earthquakes. There is also another discipline in architecture which is interested in design lines. This discipline is computational aesthetics. This research field focuses on the development of computational approaches that can make aesthetic decisions similar to humans. There is a study which have manually detect and analyze the vertical and horizontal lines of selected buildings to analyze them for balance and symmetry. According to these studies, this research aims to introduce an automated approach for two purposes. First of all, extracting the edges of buildings and urban images using kernel filters. And also, the main purpose of this study is to introduce a new filter that separates lines on their direction according to their direction, utilizing discrete cosine transform, DCT. This technique generates distinct images that display the vertical and horizontal line extracted from the original images. This flowchart shows the methodology of this study, as we can see here. The experiment which was conducted for this study is implemented in 3 main steps. First, data capturing, then data processing, and at the end, applying the DCT filter. The first step includes selecting a number of images from the image platform Pinterest using the search words elevation and architectural facades. The second step includes data processing. In this step, images were processed and prepared to be tested. First of all, we have resized the images and then transformed them from RGB to grayscale. Then the Laplacian filter was implemented for edge detection from these images, as we can see. Then the colors are inverted to visualize these images, as the Laplacian filter, which was used for edge detection, presents the images as white edges in a black background. Then quantization into 2 levels, red and black, was implemented to remove some minor noise. And finally, the third step, the DCT filter was implemented to generate distinct images in which the vertical and horizontal lines of the images are separated. In this table, the results of the experiment are shown in detail. First of all, as we can see, the selected images are in RGB color. Then they have been resized and transformed to grayscale. After that, the Laplacian filter was implemented, as you can see in the third column. And the edges of the images were detected. And in the fourth and fifth column, we can see that we have separated the horizontal lines and the vertical lines into distinct images. The conclusion from this study, technology and automation have become essential aspects of architectural design in recent years. Either fully or semi-automated processes, technology has been showing growing interest from researchers in different domains, including architectural design. This interest actually stems from the numerous advantages these technologies offer to us, such as time efficiency, precise outcomes, ease of notification, and enhanced levels of creativity, which are crucial elements in the design process. The method driven from this study has the potential to serve as an effective initial stage for subsequent processes involving architectural imagery, given that the conventional approach for identifying and structuring design lines is typically done manually. The introduction of this automated method is deemed advantageous for this task. This technique opens the door for further experimentation in fields like artificial intelligence, computational aesthetics, image rectifying and calibration, and also for 3D building reconstruction. Thank you for listening. For further questions, please contact me on this email, and thanks for listening again.
Thank you very much. We have only the automatic design. We also have just seen. So if you have any question, I have only one for a question for the first presentation to Abietpal and Amar ul Haq. In your presentation states that exists a measurable and predictable relationship exists between the effect of building architectural form on the user's brain wave. You have find a key objective is developing a scientific measuring tool to guide architects. How can this key help architects to reach a well-being? Is a comprehensive. Okay. Have you? Okay.
The measurable and predictable relationship that we are talking about between forms and human brainwave pattern, that relationship we can use to curate a tool which will help in future architects and designers to efficiently choose a form related to a particular brainwave state. That is how we can make a scientific tool.
For example, if we want to create a space that we want to induce conscious thinking and attention. For example, if we want to make a design studio or a classroom, where person we need to introduce creative thinking and concentration. We will use conical forms. For example, as shown in the presentation, when the participant went in under a cone form, she felt concentration and conscious thinking. So, for specific to the user, we can give design recommendations so that the typology of the form we can
Matches the function.
matches the function.
Okay.
At the fundamental level, we are just making how we can achieve resonance between the brain waves and the frequencies of that form.
That's clear. Yes. Thank you very much. Has anybody another question to?
I have a question for Abhijit and Amar. Abhijit, what is the sample size you have chosen for this study? So, because personally, I feel it's not only the form, the way the spaces are being perceived by different people varies culturally also. Even it depends upon your own experience. There are other conditions like lighting condition also, which changes the way the spaces are being perceived. So first thing, what I would like you to understand is what was the sample size? Did you select the people of different ages, culturally different peoples, and what are the other consideration you had apart from just form alone?
Okay, so we took an sample size of a lecture hall because
People.
Sample size of survey.
Sample in the sense how many people?
Sample size of survey.
Yeah. For the sample size, we took both experts in field and non-experts in field. Experts in field being our professors in our college, our fellow colleagues in college, and non-experts in field which don't have any linkage to architecture. So the sample size was 7 to 8.
Okay.
The conditions of the form.
What were different age groups and cultural variation was there amongst them?
No, actually, we tried to eliminate all the limitations or all other external stimuluses that there can be, and we tried to minimize as much as other external stimuluses affect the human perception. For doing that, we made sure that our space was colorless.
The light was unidirectional.
And we made sure the light is unidirectional.
And the size of all the forms were of a typical lecture hall because it's very common form.
When we talk about cultural effect, it goes into psychology. We did not enter or touch the psychological branch. We only measured the cognitive effects. When we talk about cognitive effects, we don't go into psychology. It comes into psychology. We only measured cognitive effect, which only comes into the neurological part of it.
That's nice. Your study is very interesting. I just wish you incorporate all other factors. Maybe you can develop an app based on this. So, but there are a lot of factors which still needs to come in, and then I wish you increase the sample size also, so that you don't get biases in your studies, right?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Is anybody?
I have a question for Diana. Diana, you've studied about the visibility of the mosque. So you have Ishi there.
Aren't you, Diana?
Is she there?
Is she
Is
there?
Diana is there. Diana Inab, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Diana's left. Oh.
Okay. Okay. Okay, no problem.
And
others can continue asking questions.
okay. So about unveiling the spiritual essence in contemporary Bahraini mosques by Maran Bouchahim. You state that the results indicate that despite the absence of traditional Islamic elementary contemporary mosques in Bahrain, successfully create a spiritual atmosphere by integrating natural light. In despite of the ancient, I suppose, and the ancient mosques are different, or is probably the same idea at the basis of the project and design of a mosques, or do you find something else and different from the past? It is for Manar Buhaim, Buhu Asain, Onaila Alani. This question. Are you there? Have you left? So I have no any question. If you have any, if I haven't any, we could pass.
Hello. So,
I have a
sorry,
question.
I have a question, please.
Okay.
Okay, Prof, go ahead, after you. Okay.
Nusrat, I have a question for you. Normally, we have seen the way architects intend to use the spaces works out to be very differently when it is being occupied by the user. Since you have studied the both, like you studied with the teachers and students, and then you went and spoke to the architect. So did you find that thing happening in your school as well?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, sorry, can you, ma'am, please repeat the question? Sorry, my network is a little bit troublesome.
Mostly, we have seen the way architect intend to use the spaces, the way he designs, and then the way he intends that the space will be used like this purpose. It's very different from the way user occupies the space. So did you find that in the school building here also?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was telling in my presentation that we actually searched for the architect's intention of designing the multiple spaces. Then we observed students' activities, and the literature review actually helped us to identify the parameter of third space, like in terms of activity or expression or gesture. Then we found some similarities, like few factors aligned with the architect's thought. That I wanted to say. Few factors like his intention of designing the space and the user's way of utilizing the space actually aligned to some extent. So we actually focused on those parts, like okay, we even including teachers, though we actually focused on the students as user. Yes, to some extent, we found that the thought actually resonated with the users.
Okay, I'm sorry. We have only 2 minutes left, and
Okay.
I thought I think
Can
that
I
we
ask?
have finished. We are. The time is over, I think,
Okay,
because
no problem,
we have only 2 minutes left. I don't know what happened if we are late, but
It becomes, Doctor.
Ecco, we are waiting you,
Yeah.
Professor.
You mean I can ask my question?
If
It's
you
just a brief, yeah.
Yes, brief. Thank
Prof,
you.
just a brief. You know, I'm interested in the transforming a way of transforming the school into third place. You know, this interests me because you know, sometimes I have a research on transforming a market space, you know, a market space into a third place. So my contribution is just to the presenter. Please, we in transforming the school, I think we have to look at it holistically by taking into consideration the you know, the collaboration between the parents, the stakeholders, the school management, all sorts, you know, all together. So with this, I think the school can be a third place. So this is my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay. What we have to waiting for?
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Rossi.
Thank you,
think,
everyone.
the
Thank
time
you.
is up. So we will go with Dr. We another session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Elise. I think Dr. Elise.
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
here.
she's here. Okay, I'll make you the host.
Okay.
Dr. Elise, you are the host now. You can share your screen. You can start.